Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is of the solutions of a quadratic equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, or x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, where a is not equal to 0. So this is a formula that we can use for any quadratic equation. Doesn't have to be in any special form in order to find its solutions, unlike some of our other methods that we learned, like factoring, that may not necessarily always be able to use. The important thing to note here, though, that to find our a, b, and c values to plug into this formula, our equation needs to be in standard form. So I need to have all of my terms on the left-hand side and 0 on the right-hand side. So let's go ahead and go through some examples. So I'm going to solve the equation using the quadratic formula, and then I'm going to make sure I simplify all radicals. So my first step when I'm looking at this, I have x squared plus 3x minus 5 equals 0. First, see if it's in standard form. I see it is. It's all on the left-hand side of the equal sign and 0 on the right. And then I'm going to go ahead and label my a, b, and c. So I see that my a is the number in front of x squared, which here is 1. B is number in front of x, which is 3, and c is the number at the very end, which here is negative 5. I'm going to plug that all into my quadratic formula. So I have x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Well, my b value here is 3, so when I take the opposite of 3, I get negative 3 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's 3 again, minus 4ac, so that's 4 times a times c. Well, my a value is 1, and my c value is negative 5, and then all over 2a, so 2 times 1. And now here I just need to go ahead and simplify this. I like to go ahead and simplify underneath the radical first. And so when I do 3 squared, I get 9. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. But I have a negative out in front, so this is really going to be plus 20. All over 2 times 1, which is 2. And when I do 9 plus 20, I get 29. 2. And so this is going to be my answer. I should get that x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 29 all over 2. Square root of 29 cannot be simplified any further because 29 is a prime number, and so this will be my final answer. Okay, let's look at number 2. So number 2, I have 25x squared minus 8x equals 12x minus 4. Here I see this is not in standard form, so my first step is to go ahead and put this into standard form. So I'm going to subtract 12x from both sides and add 4. When I do that, I get 25x squared minus 20x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now I'm going to label my a, b, and c. So my a here is 25. My b is negative 20, and my c is 4. So I'm going to plug that into my formula. So my formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Here my b value is negative 20, so when I take the opposite of negative 20, this is going to be a positive 20 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So I have negative 20 squared. Make sure you put parentheses around that negative 20 because we are squaring the negative 20. Minus 4 times a, which is 25, times c, which is 4. All over 2 times a, which is 25. Well, negative 20 squared, I get 400. Minus 4 times 25 is 100, times 4 is also 400. All over 2 times 25, which is 50. Well, 400 minus 400 is 0, and the square root of 0 is just 0. So this ends up simplifying out to being 20 over 50. And so if I were to simplify that fraction, I get that x is equal to 2/5. So I see for this one, I only got one solution. Okay, now let's look at one more. Here I have negative x squared plus 4x is equal to 13. First, I need to put this in standard form, so I need to subtract 13 from both sides. And when I do that, I get negative x squared plus 4x minus 13 is equal to 0. Next, I want to label my a, b, and c. So my a here is going to be negative 1, b is 4, and c is negative 13. And so I have my formula x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So I want to take the opposite of b. Here b is 4, so this is going to be negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times a, which is negative 1, times c, which is negative 13, all over 2 times a, which is negative 1. Simplifying that radical, 4 squared, I get 16 minus negative 4 times negative 1, which is 4, and then 4 times negative 13, and I get negative 52. And 2 times negative 1, I get negative 2. Well, when I do 16 minus 52, I get negative 36 all over negative 2. Now I can simplify that radical. So I have the square root of negative 36. Whenever I'm taking the square root of a negative number, remember an I comes out. And then the square root of 36 is 6. So this is going to end up being 6i over negative 2. And now this actually can still be simplified further. I'm actually dividing this negative 2 with the negative 4 and the 6i. So I can separate this out to being negative 4 over 2 plus or minus 6i divided by 2. And when I simplify that out, I get x equals negative 2 plus or minus 3i.